Hi, welcome to the Serral Ladder Diaries, episode 5. This time, well, it's Gressfon, it's against Spirit. I can only assume that this game is gonna go rather late, rather fun, rather exciting. And I, for one, am excited to see what Serral and Spirit have in store for us, because for those of you that did not watch Katowice, for those of you that are not necessarily aware, Gressfon has given us some of the best games on this new map pool, and it's not even close. We had Spirit and Cure, Beyond Mario, and I understand those are TVTs, and it's not the same matchup, but bear with me. We had, oh man, Dark and Cure from the other day was on Gressfon. It was incredible. Well, the really good game from that series was incredible. We had a great game between Beyond and Dark, actually in EPT Korea that just happened. So just in general, Gressfon develops fantastic games, and Spirit is one of these players that loves to go late, that very much believes is in the school of when ahead, get more ahead, not, oh, I'm ahead, I'm just gonna go kill you, right? He will, given the choice between a 4th base and 8 and 3 additional racks, he will go for that 4th base like every single time. Given the choice between winning and taking a 5th, he's probably gonna take the 5th. Which means that, you know, he is not a ticking time bomb of a player where sometimes we see this. I think True, going back in the annals, was a very good example of this, of a player who was truly a Peter Pan. We called him the Peter Pan Zerg, actually. One of these players who was very good in the mid game. He had great macro, great micro, great control. He would do such a good job. The game would go late and he would just not transition at the same level that other people would. So then he's still on Lingbane. Maybe he's got a hive, but he's still on Lingbane meta, whatever it is. He's still on that mid-game tech. And it was always a time bomb, because if the game got too late, True was probably not going to win. But again, Spirit is kind of the opposite problem, where the killer instinct, now it has gotten better, and he had very good games at IEM Katowice, best performance of his career. But again, that killer instinct is just maybe not quite there to the level that it is for players like, even like Serral. I'm not even like Serral. Players like Serral, players like Oliveira. Oliveira is actually a really good example, at least based on the games that he showed us in Katowice. And actually, I think in general, Oliveira is a pretty solid analog to Spirit, because Spirit for the longest time has been Serral's late game practice partner. Spirit for the longest time has been Serral's late game practice partner. We've heard tales of how good he is on the European ladder, and it's just never really come to fruition. He just never really has performed incredibly well in domestic tournaments, in international tournaments, I think in particular. So from that perspective, like, well, you know, kind of here, Oliveira, time. Yeah, he won EPT China for a while, but it's not like there was really anyone else. And even then, late last year, 2022, he lost one of those to Cyan. Cyan, I want to say reverse swept him, but Cyan certainly took the series. And that is not necessarily what we would expect from the IEM Katowice champion in a weak region. So I would argue, and Spirit kind of the same way. You know, we heard stories about how good time was. He going into Katowice, certainly he was absolutely killing it in EPT Cups. And it's like, wow, you know, he's got promise, but he never really shows it. He never really gives us that gameplay that we're looking for when we talk about these top tier players. So maybe Spirit can turn it on. Maybe 2023 is going to be his year where he moves from the practice guy, the one that we hear good things about. In fact, I mean, Serral was that player too. For the longest time, everyone was talking about how in practice on ladder, no one could beat this guy. But he just never really followed through on that promise until one day, well, I guess 1 year, he won every single EPT Cup possible. I'll just continue to move on. Now, I do want to point out here, by the way, Serral's map vision is fantastic, and he's doing that thing that Zergs have to do, or want to do, I guess, in the early game, where you put overlords outside of creep, so you're really aware of where the Hellions are, and you can defend creep appropriately. But Spirit, we got to talk about what he's doing, because we are I'm not going to say it's non-standard, as the Hellions and the Cyclone are going to try to run forward. Good luck on the first queen, but it's not going to be enough. We are starting to see this battle mech idea become more and more popular, and the addition of the Cyclone tells Serral that, yeah, he should probably drop a Roach Warren. We're starting to see more and more of this battle mech style. I was hearing rumblings in cast a game here or there with battle mech going up to Katowice, but I would argue that Katowice is where this battle mech idea really took off. We saw Hero Marine play it a bunch. We saw him win games against Roach pushes, which didn't really feel like that should be possible because it's still Hellion openers, Battlecruiser openers. But you get a bunch of Cyclones out pretty damn early, and the fact that Magfield now is plus 10 damage to everything is actually pretty nice. But Ling's on the other side. They're going to get a... Oh, that's a pretty fresh mule, but he's actually not going to get it. Is now... Well, is he? No, Serral just runs away. Okay. How many SCVs did he get? Only 2, but he did force the Battle Mech army back. So that's Serral's game plan right now. He knows these Lings are patently unuseful. They really are not going to do much of anything. So you keep him on the left, you keep him on the right, and every time the Battle Mech moves out, you dive him into a mineral line. That's just kind of the play. Ooh, they can get a Cyclone. But no, Serral just runs around. He gets the mule that he damaged earlier. A couple more SCVs maybe are going to fall, but the repair is good. And now, well, the Cyclones return. So one SCV, I think. One SCV and a mule. 2 SCVs, it looks like. Very little damage coming on in from Serral. And now here comes the Battle Mech on the high ground. Lots of creep goes down. The Queens will stay alive for the moment here. And the Roaches, their job is to trade. Against this mass number of Cyclones, the Roaches are not going to really do all that much. They will die. But they're cheap. You know what? 75 minerals, 25 gas. It's not that bad. And it just provides this buffer for Serral to get into its infestors, as that seems to be what he wants to do. And that is often a pretty solid solution to this. As the Cyclones, again, they're going to dive in. And really what you want to avoid if you're Serral is losing the Queens. You can trade Roaches and Lings for days as you are on that 4 bases, whatever. Ooh, they have us around here getting ready for Serral. Is Spirit aware? No, he's not. So Serral, oh, he's getting ready. This might be pretty fun here. He's going to dive right on top. Cyclones get targeted down very quickly, and a Cyclone is effectively a tank. It's worth as much as 1. So 5 Cyclones hit the deck here. Only 1 remains, and even that's going to take some damage, but it seems like for now, well, Spirit's going to be able to back on up, but that was pretty fantastic coming out of Sepisusi. That's going to be a dead Hellion, too. That is pretty fantastic coming out of Serral. He shuts down this aggression with such alacrity, and now there's the Hive on the way. Now there's a Spire on the way. And this is not going to be from Mutas, I don't think. Mutas are... You might think Mutas make sense, as the Roaches do a good job denying the Hellions on the right. You might think Mutas make sense because they're flying units, they are decently fast, but Cyclones are actually just a little bit faster, and 1 lock-on a Cyclone is a dead Muta. So in these Battle Mech styles, Mutas are not going to be the Mutas are not going to be the anti-ground solution. Now, you can still get 10 of them and fly into mineral lines and hope to find value there, but we got missile turrets in the main at least, but none of the natural. Some outside of the 3rd. But it is absolutely Fortress Terran here coming in from Spirit. But there is one opportunity that Serral has. He's going to pounce right on it. The 4th base before it's all sieged up, all situated. Well, that's going to be the one under a little bit of threat, but the tanks now, they are sieged. And it seems like Spirit has this position after all. I can't help but feel that, especially with the infestors there to provide some fungal opportunities, that Serral could have dove on top of those tanks. They were not sieged, but Serral wasn't sure that there was not another tank line behind. So the 4th base here now for Spirit is pretty well situated. All things considered, he's got his 5th base just about done, the 4th base halfway to a planetary, and well, Serral runs 1 Roach forward, trying to see if there's opportunity, but there isn't. So now, Serral maxes out. You got 4, wait, what is that? Yeah, 5 Vipers on the way. He's got random infestors with a burrow on the map, upping his upgrades. And actually, the interesting thing here coming out of Serral is the fact that we did not have dual Evos for quite a while. It was just +1 ranged. That's kind of an interesting decision, as the Roach on the left side is going to get found out. Because normally, against styles like this, the Zerg is going to be very, very greedy. They're going to get range. They're going to get melee at the same time. They're not, well, actually, that's not even all that greedy. That's standard. Sometimes they'll pull a dark and actually get all 3 upgrades, but realistically, against most mech armies, Carapace doesn't do much. So now here comes the Vipers, and they're just going to try to find as many abducts as possible. And you know what? The lock-ons are good. The abducts are better. But the tank on the high ground, though, that's causing some problems. Blinding Clouds, more abducted tanks here. And Serral is starting to push right on through. Biles on the tanks on the right side. And Serral trades away his army, sure, but he gets so much of the bulk here. Now the Cyclones, they're going to try to chase this army back. And Serral unburrows, reburrows to break the lock-ons. 3 tanks go down, 5 more Cyclones, something like that. And he had 27 roaches fall, but look at resources lost here, folks. Serral's up 1,500. Zerg versus mech. That is that is not supposed to happen. It is the meching player that is supposed to really outtrade. But Spirit is advancing his tech. Once again, we do have ghosts on the way, and that's going to make it a lot harder for Serral to use these spellcasters. And now EMP is going to hit most of the Vipers. Only 1 abduct is here. Snipes go down, but they're not going to hit. And there is no way Serral pumps up here. Yeah, he's going to make some trades, but that is a meat grinder if I've ever seen one. And for the first time, well, first of all, we're going to look at the resources lost, and it is going to equalize. But second, the supplies have tied themselves up here. Spirit takes an incredible trade. Serral was just not aware that there were Vipers or that there were ghosts on the field. He was not prepared for the anti-spellcaster. And look at that. From 1,500 resources up, Serral now down 100 minerals. That was so expensive. So he is going to transition, though. And that is one of the reasons we're not seeing his supply bounce back quite as quickly as we're used to. A scan goes down. These Hydras are going to be very quickly knocked down. Snipes and Blue Flame. They have a lot to say about that. But again, one of the reasons that we see Serral here not reinforcing quite as quickly as we're used to is because he is developing his tech further. He's got 9 Broodlords on the way. He's going to have this much stronger army that he's going to build, but it's more gas expensive, even as Serral is mining literally 2,000 gas a minute. It still takes a little while longer, and also you do want to leave supply open so you can get more. Because of course, building Overlord or building Broodlords is a 2-step process. You build the Corruptors, then you need more supply free to build the Broodlords. Simple as. But this Broodlord count is massive. There are 10 of them here. Ghosts are going to try to snipe down what they can, but the Fungal is going to cancel those snipes, and now Broodlords sieging away at this 4th base. Now Spirit has 2 bases behind that. That's the benefit of Grespon for mech. You take this high ground base and you get so much more, but for now, the economy is under significant threat here. Massive Fungals means that these ghosts will not get their shots off. And, well, we have Thors on the way, but that's going to be quite a while in asking. And now, well, onto the low ground. The tank. Serral abducts the tank on the low ground, and it means it actually gets damage on the spores, gets damage on the queens. This pressure coming in from Serral now is a bit scary if you're Spirit. You don't have the answer that you need, not just yet. I mean, snipes can be good, but there are infestors on the low ground. The Broodlords can target the ghost down, and that's just going to be a dead base. Dead tanks as well. And what this does, by the way, is it unlocks more bases for Serral to kill. We talked about how taking the high ground base here unlocks the full right side, as now snipes go down, but actually they don't. And now, okay, lock-ons here from the Cyclones. They're not doing anything either, and Serral is having a hell of a fight here, but he is going to have to back up. Eventually targets back, and here come the Banelings, the Lings, running forward, trying to just deal with these Hellbats. They're killing off so many of these Broodlings. But for now, Serral's just going to continue to kite forward, kite back, really not losing that many Broodlords. He's lost 2 over the course of this game, and we talked about Hill killing the planetary unlocked a lot. Well, a lot of the defense here on Spirit's right side is going to start to go down. Cyclones, again, they try to lock on, and Serral just gives the position up for the moment. And what does he do with this opportunity, this space that he's built on the map? Well, that is a ton of Lings and a ton of Banes and 1 Hydra that's going to find another base. So Spirit is just going to lose the base. There's no saving that one. He tries to do some fancy micro with an SCV, but it will all go down. And yeah, there's a snipe on the Hydra, but it's a dead base. And now Spirit, no longer the 6 base Terran that he was, is back down onto 4. Although he did build another command center, so I guess he's back down to 5. And he's now pretty active on the map here. A ghost is going to snipe, or ghosts are going to snipe a queen down. Broodlords from an angle, and that's going to be a pretty good fungal. But they still have to kite away because, well, Thors are pretty damn good. Especially now that +3 is done. So Spirit's going to kite back away. And do we have Neural? We do not. Serral's not ready for that upgrade. He does not. I mean, he could afford it. Let's be real. But he's not quite ready for it. Not just yet. And that is kind of the ultimate solution to, really, to Ghosts and Thors. 3/3 Thors, they do more DPS than... Oh, they do more DPS than a Dark Templar. Is that scary math. And of Ghosts, of course, if you can neural them, if you can EMP the friendly ghost or the enemy ghost with your own ghost, well, that's a pretty good way to play the games. Now, this planetary seems destined to fall once again. Spirit's not even repairing it, so another dead planetary. Another Lings of the Banes. They're going to run forward here, looking to cancel Ghosts as the Broodlords are trying to take that fight. Banelings, they're going to knock down. Oh, they're just getting the Hellbats. And that means that these Broodlords are going to do so much better here. Parasitic bombs on the Medivacs, but the Thors get boosted forward. Oh, the Fungals will not land. And a lot of these Broodlords have fallen down. Once was 10, now is 4. And more Hydras are on the way. Serral not reinforcing with the Broodlords. He's forced the tech transition that he's comfortable with. That's really cool. So now... Serral now back into the mid-game. He's adding more Hydras, more Lings, +3 melee. He has Adrenal done. He's already got +3 ranged. This Hydraling Bane idea with a bunch of Infestors. Oh! Oh, the Medivac. EMP's all the... Oh, man. Anyway, Banelings are going to run forward here, trying to deal with these ghosts, the rest of them that remain, and they're going to knock a lot of them down. Lings and the Broodlords and everything else. So now it is just Thor Hellbat. But man, I did not give that enough credit. The Medivac with a single ghost runs in. EMPs all the Infestors because Spirit, oh, he scanned it. But he still takes a pretty negative fight. And Serral, over the course of this 17-minute game versus Mech, he is out trading the Terran. Which is just absolutely... I know I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. That should not happen. This should be the meching player who has less bases but is just trading so much better. He has splash. He has higher tech units. And it's the Zerg that is taking as many bases as possible and trying to, while trading more inefficiently, trying to keep the Terran on a few enough bases that they're going to be able to be... Then eventually you break through. So the fact that Serral has all the bases that he could want and has been knocking down Spirit over and over again is just insanely impressive. And now Banelings run forward once again. No snipes down just yet. And the friendly fire from the tanks is really what's causing the problems here. The Broodlords, yeah, they do good damage. They got +3 in the air and +3 in the ground. So impact damage and sustain damage is as high as it's going to be. But it is really the friendly fire. That tank. And really all the tanks that were behind there were causing problems. But look at this. 4 Thors. In Medivac Spirit. What you got here, bud? What you gonna do? Well, for now, nothing, because the Changeling scout all this off, and Spirit is gonna be a little afraid of moving out right now. As a couple of these feisty Lings, they're gonna find a Hellion. That's nice. They're gonna find a bunch. Oh, they're gonna find all the fresh mules. At least a good majority of them. So that's a lot of perspective economy that Spirit will just not have. Serral on the right side, Banelings and Ultras. Now, Ultras are maybe not the best against this army, and it's a bit of a force field from the Thors dropping in from behind. The Banelings look to run in. They get the Hellbats. They get some of the Ghosts, but oh man, that was, again, not cost effective. And every time I praise Serral for trading better than the Terran, he takes a fight like that, loses everything. And now the Thors dropped on top of everything. Fungals, though, they're going to try to really equalize this. They're not going to be successful. And even with the parasitic bombs, the blinding, or the Fungals as well, doing damage to the Medivacs, this army from Spirit is pretty terrifying. 16 more Banelings on the way, 5 more Ultras. They're not here just yet. And Serral, oh, I didn't even realize he killed the base. His Vipers, they were a little bit too greedy. They sucked too deeply. But now here come the Lings running forward. Banelings on top of the Hellbats. And the Infestors, they pop out, but they don't cast their spells just yet. They're going to have to burrow in once again. This army coming in from Spirit right now is a bit of a problem. The Cyclones locking onto whatever they can. The base will fall once again. Serral desperate for this army. And if he had Neural, maybe this army, this was a fight he could take. But he doesn't have Neural. Now this is going to be another base going down. It's actually just too big of a fight for us to catch on one screen. Now, Lings are going to find one Thor on the backside here. Ghosts are going to go down here as well. Liberators are going to try to siege their way up, but the army's going to try to run right on through, and there's not enough splash on this army. These +3 Lings, these +6 Lings, these cracklings, they knock everything down, and Spirit overextended himself. He gets 2 bases. Actually, realistically, he gets 1 as... Oh, he snipes the hive. No more. Oh, no more Vipers on the way for quite a while. I'm not even sure how that Thor got in. It looks like maybe the medevac went in before it died, and now the Thor is starting to wreak havoc here. Serral does need to respond to this. He's not quite doing so just yet. A couple more Lings are going to try to do their due diligence, and they will knock that down. Meanwhile, Serral's kind of reeling. He's lost 3 hatches over the span of a minute, including his hive, which means the Vipers that he has, actually the Vipers that he does not have, are the only Vipers he's going to have for a while. And effectively, this means he will not have any repositioning tool for the Terran army. No ability to make tanks not fire for quite a while. And this buys a ton of room on Spirit's side of the map. But Spirit's broke. He's got no gas here right now. The Ultras are going to try to find their way in, and this base just seems destined to die. Spirit's not even trying to defend. Bailey's running interference on the Cyclones and the Hellbats and the Ghosts. So there we go. There are a couple Neurals on the tanks doing even more damage here. You got to run through a meat grinder of your own making, Spirit, and oh man, he's just a piece of ground beef. The Cyclones will fall. The tanks will go down. The Planetary is dead. And Serral shows us that, yeah, he doesn't need Vipers. Not really. The Infestors are going to be more than enough. Cyclones continue their lock-on. Fungal from the low ground gets the rest of these Ghosts. And even if Serral has lost every single base, and it's not even that bad, even if he's lost his hive, 3 hatches, he breaks Spirit's economy once again. Spirit on the 55 workers, but more importantly, 130 supply and unable to resupply. That's the big problem here. He's mining... I mean, he is mining more gas than Serral is, but Serral does have this gas available to him. The big deal, though, Serral has almost 5,000 gas in the bank. Spirit has none. He's struggling to be able to reinforce what he has, and yeah, this army on the right side is going to try to take this base from Serral. But the other thing we have to mention is that Serral has mined a decent amount from these mineral patches, and this is a base that technically should be Spirit's. The Banelings get great connections there on the Hellbats. Hydra's moving in from every side. Banelings, again, their job is just to knock these Hellbats down, and once they do that, the Lings can come spilling on in here. The Ultras are just not dying. Now, there is a snipe down on one of these Ultras, and the Ghosts are going to do a pretty good job there. But again, the trays are just too damn good. The last of the Ghosts will fall. This orbital, it was never remade into a planetary, just died too quickly. Well, it seems like it is destined to go down, or at the very least, the Lings are doing so much here. And now, for the first time in a long time, Spirit's below 100 army supply. It's all the Lings now that are just causing all the problems. Lings now onto Spirit's 3rd base, and Spirit is well and truly broken. His economy is dead. It's in the ground. And there is absolutely nothing that he can do here. Not at all. He's got a paltry force. 5 Ghosts, 2 tanks, a couple Cyclones. And I guess technically he's going to be... He can barely afford to repair the orbital, is the situation that he's in right now. And yeah, he's trying to take this base. And the point I was trying to make before Serral pretty much ended the game is the fact that this was a base that should have been Spirit's. So Serral has not only been trading better this entire game, although I guess he's traded a little worse at the end of this. He has taken a base from Spirit, and he's mined out a lot of it. Spirit has never been able to establish position to take this hatch away. And that means that even if Serral is trading worse, well, he's going to trade better than the economy is. Now, here we go. The Fungal goes down. The Ghosts are, well, they're in the ground. There really is nothing that they can do. Bailey's cancel the rest of the snipes. It's going to try to get 1 down here, and that's an Ultra that will fall. But it's double the army supply for Serral moving in. The Ghosts are taking so much damage, and Spirit taps out. 24-minute marathon. And what a tour de force coming out of Serral. I mean, my God. Most of the game, that was a Zerg trading better against the mech. But friends, if you liked this, if you want to see more of Serral playing on the ladder, more top-tier pro games, if you want to get caught up on all the things that are happening in the week for the Nidus News Network every Sunday, you should follow my YouTube channel. In fact, the sub button is right down below. If you got to this video, hopefully you liked it enough. And also, you should follow me on Twitch as well. I stream 4 days a week, sometimes even more, for that live StarCraft action, if that's the issue you want to scratch. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.